So in addition to appealing the case, say you appeal it and it's still, it gets denied on appeal, you can then look at alternative, H-1B routes, alternatives to H-1B. But not the least, you could file directly for a green card, especially if you were born in some other country, you could file directly for EB1, EB2, or EB3 green card and come that way. Or if you're presently in the country, you can file, and once you file the 485, you can file for EAD and start working that way. For Indian nationals, this becomes a problem because green card, in order to file for a 485 and get that work permit, you have to wait for your priority date to become current, and the priority dates for Indian nationals are retrogressed in most categories. EB1 also, but not as bad as EB2 and EB3. And of course, you can always go back to an F1. You can be on an F1 status and get OPT after you've completed your F1, or you can be on CPT, while you're studying. And that is one way of working as well. But let's move on to the next type of visa. That's the TN. The TN is available for Canada, nationals of Canada and Mexico. So if you were born in Canada or Mexico, you can be on a TN visa. And this is very similar to a H-1 visa. There are certain designated occupations, and those designated occupations you can find in the NAFTA guidelines. If you type in TN designated occupations, it should come up on Google. And those occupations, the list will have the occupation as well as the education required or the work experience required to qualify. So as long as you qualify under those guidelines, you can apply for a TN. The good thing about the TN in Canada is you don't have to apply at the consulate. You don't have to apply at the US. First, for a I-797 approval, you can just go to the port of entry and apply at the border for a TN Canada. So that's an interesting thing about the TN Canada. For TN Mexico, you'd have to apply at the consulate, but again, you don't have to apply with USCIS. So that's still much better than the other work visas where you have to first get an approval with USCIS, then go for a visa. So it avoids that step of having to face scrutiny at the USCIS level. The other country-related work visa is H-1B1 for Singapore and Chile. It's the same as the H-1B, but it's designated for Singapore and Chile. The other one is Australia. If you're an Australian national, you could always file for an E3, which is again very similar to a H-1. They require that the position be in a specialty occupation requiring a bachelor's degree in a specific field. And for the Australian visa also, you can apply at the consulate directly. You don't have to apply with USCIS. You also have the E1 and E2 treaty trader, treaty investor visas. This is not for Indian nationals, but this is if for certain designated countries. And again, you can find the list on Google. If you type in E1, E2, treaty trader, treaty investor countries. So if you belong to one of those countries, you can apply. You can invest in the US and apply for an E1 or an E2 visa. It's a non-immigrant visa, and you're allowed to apply for a green card as well. So an O1 would make more sense in your situation. In addition to that, there is also the L1, the intra-company transferee. You can have your company, if you're working, if you qualify, that is, if you worked in the foreign company or the parent company for a period of 1 year in a managerial position or an executive position, and then you moved here to the US entity, then you may be eligible for an L1A. If you have specialized knowledge, if you have specialized knowledge of the company's product, and again, you worked in the parent company for a year, and you're moving now, or you've already moved to the US company, you could also qualify for an L1B. Both the L1A and L1B allow you to work in the US for that employer. The L1A is great because it's leads itself to an EB1 green card, and we all know with the Indian nationals, the green cards are so backlogged that EB1 is very valuable because it's the least backlogged of all the categories of all the EB1, EB2, and EB3 employment-based categories. So the L1A is very interesting and useful status to be in. In addition to this, there's some other work visas such as O1. O1 is generally reserved for individuals who have extraordinary ability. It could be in the sciences, in the arts, in education, business, sports, television, motion pictures, etc. So whatever applies to you. You could also be apply for a P1, but a P1 is more a performance visa. So a person who qualifies for a H1 may not necessarily be in the performance category. So the first would be seeing if you can find a job with an employer who's CAP exempt. So a CAP exempt organization is an organization that is an institution of higher education, or it could be a non-profit company related to an institution of higher education, or it could be a non-profit research organization or a government research organization. So all these are CAP exempt employers. So you could be working for them directly, or you could be working for them through a consulting company. And these organizations, one of these organizations could be your end client. So either way, you are CAP exempt. The other interesting note that I have for you is once you file a CAP exempt petition, then you could file a concurrent CAP subject petition, meaning you could now work for your original employer who you wanted to work for by first working for this CAP exempt organization, maybe part-time. Maybe you will work on weekends for the CAP exempt organization doing some research, etc. And the rest of the time you will work for the CAP subject organization. So that's possible. You can concurrently file a CAP subject petition if you have a CAP exempt petition. Not many people know this. So it's very, very, very important to know that this is possible. And then, of course, you can wait until the next year, April 2025, and then file for the CAP in March rather, and file again, try your luck with the CAP again next year. So these are a few of the available options that we have in case your H-1B gets denied and you are CAP subject. Don't forget to subscribe to our videos if you like what you see. Also give us a thumbs up and share the video with your family and friends. Thank you.